Hey Scotland, I'm doing all right. I hope you're well as well. Well as well. You get the meaning. I apologize for the late stream start because I had some real life things to take care of and it took a little longer than expected. But I'm here now. So I guess it works out altogether. Today we're going to do some flight along the Atlantic Ocean and stop making eventually ending up in Virginia Beach with a stop at the First Flight Airport, where the Wright Brothers made their first heavier than air flight, which is technically what an airplane is. It is a heavier than air, and whereas like a blimp or a hot air balloon use air to be in the sky. So that's where they did a lot of their flight testing and whatnot. And yeah, so we're going to make a stop there. There is a freeware scenery. I'll be honest, I just kind of came up with this flight off the seat of my pants because I didn't really have. My original plan was to do something in the neighborhood of Michigan, but hey, KG, how you doing? My original plan was to do something in Michigan, but with the update not coming out and getting delayed, I decided I've beat Michigan to death for a little bit, and decided to fly somewhere else. So here we are in North Carolina. We'll end up in the state of Virginia. And we're going to be flying in the Cessna 152 Aerobat because that's a fun little flyer. So, I use the Microsoft Store version. Two-Tone Murphy with the host. Thank you, my dude. Much appreciated. Hey, hey, hey. Hope you all had a great Tuesday. And I know Murph is getting off was back to work after a 4-day weekend with an epic 13-hour cross-country Route 66 flight, which was amazing. And then we flew with him yesterday down in Australia up to the Gold Coast, where we had some technical issues, but fun nonetheless. Well, hello to the missus, the son, and the cat. You're all welcome in the flight. So yeah, we're gonna just setting up my SciTech yoke. Been in the cupboard for years, so decided to start to use it again. I've not messed with that, but I mean, there's a reason why it's still around. That's all good too. I was kind of debating with me getting a late start whether I wanted to still do flight sim or if I wanted to. Jim Oates with the host too. Thank you, my good sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I was debating whether I was going to continue flight sim or with it being late and all go with the division, but I decided to throw something together for flight sim. Depending on how I'm feeling after the flight sim and getting something to eat, maybe do a bonus stream later. Spell checker lives butchering. Yeah, I under that. Or understand that. especially with, you know, smartphones, big fingers and thumbs, and small keyboard. Not good friends. But, so yeah, we're going to get out of the drone camera if I can get in the right screen. Yeah, that's always the real trick. It's the sensitivities. So here we are in... Oh goodness. I should know because I made the flight. It kind of goes to show you how prepared I am for this flight. We are at Michael J. Smith Airfield. It is near the Atlantic Beach, near the Buford Inlet, and it's by Morehead City. Has two airports in close proximity, one to the northwest and one almost directly west. From there, we'll be going to Billy Mitchell Field, which is on an island-ish, on Cape Hatteras. Cape Hatteras. Yeah, it doesn't work real well with fresh air in the tank. Then we fly north, and we're going to the First Flight Airfield in Kittyhawk, North Carolina. There's a freeware scenery pack. I can't remember for the life of me where it's located or where I got it, but that is available for free, and we will be checking that out when we stop there. And then finally we'll end up at Virginia Beach, just south of Norfolk, Virginia. And it's just on the state line between Virginia and North Carolina. That's kind of spooky, isn't it? So, we're going to set the trim slightly nose up. You're going to open the fuel cutoff. You're going to turn on the master switches, turn the beacon on, set the max to both, and clear prop, start the engine. Of course, we missed the whole setting of the parking brake, but that's okay. We go over to our radio. Now that the engine's started, we'll turn the avionics on. We'll turn the taxi light on and the nav lights. We won't turn the strobes on until we get to a runway. Turn our transponder on, so we're squawking. Turn volume 2 on, or the radio 2, radio 1. To make sure the altimeter is set, and we're right at sea level, just a smidgen above. We're going to look around for a windsock. Unless someone has a METAR hand. Thing. Winds are 120 at 7. 120 at 7. So we're going to there's a dock right there. We'll taxi down that way, and absolutely. We're currently at Kilo Mike Romeo Hotel, Beaufort Morehead in North Carolina. go ahead and open up the chart. So we want taxi or runway 14. So given the layout, we're going to have to taxi to runway 26, back taxi, or use it to taxi to 14. Just going to make my way to the runway, so you've got plenty of time. I don't know who decides to put their rotating beacon in the middle of a ramp. I personally feel like that's a poor design choice. Hey, Brazenhead, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. You know, I think the 152 it's underrated as an airplane. Granted, the community mods for it make it even better just because they actually give it the proper flight dynamics. But I mean, the 152 is a great little airplane. Ooh, this taxi's great, awesome. Not on the chart, might be closed. So we're on an active runway, strobe lights go on. As long as it has the right equipment, you can use a 150. As long as any airplane has the right equipment, you can run it IFR. It has to have the right equipment. You can do IFR as long as it has like distance measuring equipment. You can fly at IFR. May not be the ideal airplane to fly in IFR, but yes, we should be, unless I goofed, which is entirely plausible. Wow, didn't even get off the ground before we had a CTD. Isn't that wonderful? Yep, I went to the menu. Hey, Allison, how you doing? Yep, went to the escape menu, and sure enough, crashed the desktop. Well, at least I did. A, I didn't get airborne. B, I mean, this is what I get for starting late. And C, I'll come up with another excuse. Hey, Dougal, how you doing? Doing okay. Yeah, taking a night off flying is not a bad thing to do every now and then. Yes, East USA. I'll be there in a minute because my sim crashed. Yeah, just one or two so far. I'm going to go ahead and check Windows Update for any security updates, because that has a tendency to be a thorn in the side. No security updates. So that's good. Hey, Keen, how you doing? Yeah, they seem to follow me around, which I'm eternally grateful for and will not complain about. So I'm looking at the Navigraph SimLink status, which is a way that the Navigraph Charts app can connect to Flight Sim, and it'll show you on a live map and on individual charts, which is a wonderful thing. Yeah. We do have information fork, and the information isn't looking good right now. But the Navigraph SimLink status app, there are 4 tabs. There's General, Plugin Status, Settings, and Logs. That's kind of funny. I've been, and it's been fine for the most part. I can't say as I've had too many issues with it. Uh, I can't really speak to the PlayStation because I haven't really been interested in the PlayStation since the PS1. Maybe the PS2, but I never had a PS2. I only had the original PlayStation. I mean, I'm excited for the new Xbox, but I don't need it, and I have no immediate plans on getting one. But it's a I mean, they're the consoles. They're gonna do what they do, and they're gonna do it to the best of their individual abilities. Yes, the two tone gremlins, they like his followers as well. Hence the situation I'm currently in. But we're gonna simplify things. Just a hair. If weight and balance. Put in fuel. Take out our passenger. Going to go to KMH. Oh, three. Oh, live. Best. Then we're going to go to LC. Yes. And thus it shall be so. The Gremlicons. I'm wondering if there's some server instability given what was supposed to be a release day that didn't turn out to be a release day. Just a hunch. Okay, so we're going to turn everything back off, do the proper startup procedure again. So, fuel shut off, open, exterior rich, throttle cracked. It is... Just had it. And there it goes again. Well, worst case scenario, we switched it to the Vision. Because I'm starting to feel like there's some inherent instability in Sim right now. And I really don't want to... I'm already starting late, so I really don't want to waste time playing Detective. More than I need to. That's something that I would prefer to do off stream. So if it still doesn't want to behave itself, we'll switch to the Division and y'all get to see a different kind of gameplay. So honestly, just at a kind of process of elimination, then. Hey, my hamsters have been doing pretty good on Big Macs and French fries. They're pretty stout. When they get to a certain size, and then they trip and fall and start rolling, it just gains momentum. And you know what they say about Rolling Stones? They gather no moss. The faster they spin, the more gravity they make, and that just, that's it. That's what you need to do with your hamsters. They don't need to be lean and fit. They need to be bulbous and like a big rock. Well, as a new player to flight sims, would you recommend staying with? That's a tricky question to answer. In my opinion, the Xbox controller, it's a good stopgap, and it's good for people that don't have the ability to get more advanced flight controls. But if they're looking at it, it depends on if they're serious into getting into it or not. If they're not looking to really get into aviation as a whole and into flying properly, then they're just fine with an Xbox controller. If I don't know you. If they're looking to eventually get to a point of where they're trying to take it serious and they're trying to maybe get into aviation in real life, then the Xbox controller is good to get them going, but they should invest in flight controls as soon as they're able to. Because that's going to give them the muscle memory of how to use the yoke and how to use the pedals and how to use the throttle or the engine controls. So the Xbox controller, it's fine if that's all you have, but beyond that, it depends on what you want to do with the flight sim. Yes, I would rather have rolling hamsters and no gremlicons. Yeah, Dougal's right. You would have more fun and immersion. Yeah, but yeah, it really just boils down to if what you want to do with flights. Because if you're, like I said, if you're just interested in just flying around having a laugh, then the Xbox controller is perfectly adequate. It just boils down to if you really want to get into flying, whether it be just you really want to take it seriously in the sim, but not necessarily going into real life. But especially if you are going into, you're interested in getting into flying for real, then you're going to want to do what you can in order to have a more authentic experience. I mean, I think it's serious business, but at the same time, I also recognize that not everyone shares that philosophy. And there's people like my dad whom I wish would give it a little bit more credibility than he gives it. US. Okay. But yeah, I would, if you're looking to take it a bit more seriously but still have fun with it, of course, I would highly recommend getting a joystick and pedals. Pedals are essential, but if you can get a joystick with a twist, that's a decent alternative until you're able to get a decent set of pedals. Well, my dad's he's old school. He doesn't really, he thinks of flight sim as a game more than a sim per se. He doesn't really have any interest in getting into it. He's open to share his knowledge because he's a former flight instructor and whatnot. He just doesn't see, he thinks you have to have it this, that, and FAA standards and whatnot to really take it seriously, and he just doesn't see it the way I do, because my dad doesn't do video games, which at its core, this is a video game. So, kind of an old school of thought, so to speak. So it's not that he's against it, he's just not exactly for it, per se. Okay, we're live. Try this one more time. Yeah, and see, that's what I'm trying to do with flight sim is, because I've been, those that know me know that I've been around aviation my whole life since I was a kid. My grandpa had a Cessna 175 from 1967 until like year and a half, 2 years ago, and so I've been around flying my whole life. So aviation's kind of ingrained in my blood. So, but I'd like to get my private pilot's license. So, but between the COVID and finances, this is the closest I can get right now with any kind of regularity and security and cost effectiveness, quite honestly. No, absolutely. No, I'm 100%. I'm on board with all that. So it's just getting him to see it the way I see it. But at the same time, I'm not gonna push him because pushing someone like that is gonna do more harm than good. So I'm just gonna kind of kindly point him, steer in the direction of getting into it at some point in his time. I think that's more, it's a kinder and more effective way to get someone interested in something in the long term. That, and my next suggestion is going to be for him that it beats sitting around watching TV because you're actually thinking about what you're doing. But we'll get there. Oh yeah, and it's just a matter of time of getting him to see things the way I see it, and it'll come at some point. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's no harm, no foul. Okay. Finally rolling. No, and I'm with you 100%. I see the value in it. It's just it's different strokes for different folks, and I just gotta give them time, a little encouragement. No, and I agree 100%. Speaking of flight sims and taking things seriously and such, I've got to check on the shipping status or tracking status of my new pedal. Well, they departed East Syracuse, New York at 0900 Eastern Time, and supposedly to be delivered tomorrow. So there's that. Yep. Yeah, I missed the taxiway. I feel like I missed. I didn't. Just got to give them time, because trying to force someone into something gets an awful result compared to getting somebody genuinely interested in something. So I'll give them time. They'll come around. I think if I can get them to sit with me and do a couple of lessons, you might see the more of the value in it. But see, on the taxiway, I'm steering with my feet. I'm at taxiway runway 14. I am online, East USA server, and it is Kilo Mike Romeo Hotel. Now that things seem stabilized, we'll make our way to the next airport, and then from there we will go to the first flight airfield. Slowly add in the power. We'll do a circuit or two. $50 knots. Nice takeoff. Flaps coming up. So welcome to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to go ahead and make a right turn. And you hear loud noises outside of your room. East USA server and all that fun stuff. Try turning your multiplayer off and on again. As silly as it sounds, it actually has a tendency to work. You'd think that they would have a taxiway connecting right here. Oh well. This is just a fun little airplane to fly in. Yeah, finding the right height for the yoke is a trick in and of itself. I kind of lucked out. The Savage Cub, X Cub, or Shock Ultra. Because they're all kind of a Piper Cub at their core. I had to turn generic models on to kind of get the sim to behave itself. X Cub, gotcha. I think the Savage Cub is the closest in performance numbers to the 152. Could be wrong. Okay, we're at cruise, so we're gonna go down to 75% power. Dial back the mixture. Add. I'm live time and live weather. Hey, Bad Dog, how are you? Quite the echo. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, see if it's any good. It could just be my room. We'll keep an eye on it. Well, I do have a fairly decent sized room, so that could have something to do with it. The beautiful night for flying out, or evening for flying out here. It may be a bit flat, but honestly, that's really one of the reasons that the Wright Brothers chose this general area for their flight testing, because it had plenty of wind, which to this day is an important factor in flight. Why we fly into the wind on takeoffs and landings, or at least as much as possible given different runways. And just a lot of flat, relatively flat areas, so that you didn't have a lot of terrain to deal with, because back then the maneuverability was very, they hadn't really gotten that far off the ground, let alone being able to maneuver. So having a flat airfield was key. Granted, it wasn't an airfield at the time, because they were in the process of inventing heavier than air flight. So, but that's of course me getting slightly pedantic. But the flatter lands is very important for the exploration and invention of flight as we know it today. Not a lot in the ways of VORs in this area. 111.6. Back in the cockpit. Find that. 111. And then we want to dial in heading of 70. And eventually we'll pick up that VOR. I mean, I have my own issues with YouTube as a streaming platform. They do. It's the age-old battle: YouTube versus Twitch. Twitch is, in my personal opinion, a better streaming platform. Not without their pitfalls. YouTube is better at videos on demand, but Twitch is harder to find, or harder to get discovered, and harder to find people than YouTube is. YouTube has their algorithm. It serves its purpose, flawed or otherwise. But it's a lot easier to get discovered on YouTube than it is on Twitch. So, but yeah, I mean, in a general sense, YouTube's kind of meh for me. A lot of their algorithms are heavily flawed and have a tendency to favor an advertiser over a content creator, whereas Twitch is the opposite, where it tends to favor the content creator more than the advertiser. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. But you always get trolls wherever you go, so it's 6 to 1, half dozen to the other in a lot of respects. So off our left here's coming up. There it is. There's a little airstrip. If that's not an airstrip, I don't know what to tell anyone. That looks an awful lot like an airstrip to me. And that is a very interesting airport. It's just a lot of ramp. It could have been. Yes. The grass strip was Jackson, and that was Atlantic McAuliffe. Oh, right there. little bit of a bump. Lots of water. Pardon me. Hope everybody's Tuesday's been good. We're almost halfway through the week. Got Halloween coming up this weekend. Actually have a wedding to go to on Saturday, so I won't be around for most of the day. Well, getting done with work is good, and dinner is also good. What's on the menu? And I hope you brought enough for everyone. Breakfast or dinner? There you go. And by hash, of course, you mean hash brown. It is indeed Taco Tuesday. That was part of why I was late to streaming. Had to go take something to get returned. Aha! Even better, corned beef hash. Although you throw some hash browns in there and you got a real good breakfast going. In fact, I had a grocery delivery earlier today with some breakfast sausage in it to complement the eggs that I have in my fridge. Well, you might want to get something in your system, my dude. I'm usually in real trouble if I forget to eat because I have blood sugar issues to keep watch of. Hey, at least you're hydrated. That's important. That's why I have my big old water bottle filled with water. I'm kind of hoping that the big update that's gotten delayed kind of addresses some shorelines. Although from the Japan update it got better. Because now you can actually see beaches. You know, maybe think about getting rid of some of the jaggy lines. Yeah, and being in the 152, we don't want to get too far out from the land in case of an engine failure of some kind. So you want to make sure that we have plenty of altitude for be able to glide if the engine quits and make it to land. The last thing you want to do is go down in a body of water and not have anyone realize that you went down. Toss that little guy out there. Got 4 of us. Well, 5 of us, rather. Looks like you're perched on the wing. See, from this angle, the water texture looks weird, but if you really look close at it, you can see the, like, you probably can't see it with the streaming compression, but you can really start to see the wave lines a lot better. So we've got this line right here goes out, and then on the next one, so just about out here, is Kilo Hotel Sierra Echo. There you are. Baseball diamond. Would not want to live here. This is a prime spot to not be because hurricanes. Hurricanes are one of the reasons I'm glad I live where I do, because we don't have to worry about hurricanes. We don't have to worry about a lot of deadly snakes. I think we've got one venomous snake in the state of Michigan. Our biggest problem is mosquitoes, the rare tornado, snow, and the occasional flooding, localized flooding. So it's pretty nice here. Not a whole lot of natural disasters to worry about. And even the snow isn't as bad as it used to be. It's mostly bad up in the Upper Peninsula compared to where I am. Not so bad down here. So it's kind of nice. There's a little bit of autogen cut in. So I live in a pretty meteorologically stable part of the world. Yep, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about, big natural disasters like that. Of course, my heart goes out to, the places that are affected by that stuff. That's awful to go through. But that's one of the reasons why I live where I do. Because you don't have to worry about a lot of that. There's other things that are more worth fear or concern. Some tidy flying going on here. Okay, let's see. HS. It's a small little airfield. A choice between 7 and 2.5. Let's see, winds are variable at 3 knots. So it's pretty light wind regardless, so we could do a straight in for runway 7. I think that would be Kilo Hotel Sierra Echo. We're going to go ahead and reduce throttle and start our descent. We have the airport in sight. Classic slip maneuver. Pull out. Start our flare. Constant back pressure on the yoke, and we're down. $40 knots, flaps are coming up. Back. And I don't know if there's a taxiway that runs out all this way, so we're going to this area to turn around. Now I'm gonna taxi back to the ramp, and then I'm gonna get out of the airplane, put in the next leg, and then head to everybody had a good landing so far. Alright, so parking brake is set. The RPM to 1200 for 30 seconds. Landing lights are coming off except for the beacon. Avionics turn off. And mixture back. Mags off, beacon off, master switches off. Alright, don't anybody go anywhere. I will be back in a moment. Gonna put in the next leg of the journey. Fast. So we're gonna go from Kilo Hotel Sierra Echo departure. Arrival is that first flight. Flight condition. Fly. Well, 11.6. All right. Fuel cut off. Trim set. Full. Auto cracked. Master switches on. Beacon on. Mags to both. And clear prop. Start good. Nav lights come on. Taxi lights come on. Avionics come on. Parking brake should have been on. One on. Radio 2 on. 111. 6. There's an ADF or FA. E7. Check the METAR. Wind's calm. Good. All right. So we're going to take off from the lane, taxiway we just, the runway we just landed on. Nicely done. Check for traffic. Traffic. Don't see much out of that. We'll check the map. Good. So we're going to mixture full. Gradually increase the power. We're on the center line. 40 knots, airspeed's alive. 50 knots, 1 notch of flaps. Feet. Enough anyway. Flaps are coming up. Trimming for climb. Nice casual right hand turn. Like someone took off not using the runway at all. And we got another one coming up. Continue turning towards the north. Am I not tuned into the right thing? That VOR? That should be the right. There, VOR 11.6. Yeah, whatever. We did the right time. Good. This should be a relatively short flight compared to the last leg. Only 47 nautical miles. The last one was 59. Oh, goodness, excuse me. This is the Pamlico Sound. Fun fact. At some point we will pass by Stumpy Point. We will be at some point also after we pass by Stumpy Point. We will fly over the Roanoke Island, which is the home to the Wright Brothers VOR and DME. On our way to Kittyhawk. Very, very hands-on, hand-fly airplane, and I like that. You make for difficult streaming because then you got a lot of things to pay attention to, including flying the airplane, because you can't set the autopilot, and it's a fun little airplane. But the default modeling is just, it's kind of falls short a little bit, which is why I like the community versions, because they add proper performance numbers, fuel quantity, even Just a few little things here and there that just make them fly more accurately and just a little bit better. Because in some ways it seems that they kind of made a conglomeration of a bunch of different Cessna 152 models and just made a 152, and then maybe they added some structural stuff and a G gauge. I'm not really sure what this is actually, like an accelerometer gauge for the Aerobat version. Which, I mean, that would be correct, but the base performance numbers, like the fuel tank quantity and so on, they're just off. Like, they say that the cruise speed for the 152 is 109 knots. I'm at cruise power, and I'm just over 90 knots. I should be going about 100, 110. Somewhere in there. And I've noticed kind of something with the 172 where it seems like it should cruise a little bit faster than it does. And one of the bigger planes that had a glaring issue was the Bonanza, because they modeled it with they advertised it with a particular engine and then modeled it with a 4-cylinder engine, because the model they advertised should have been a 6-cylinder, so it was by default vastly underpowered to what it should be. So, and a lot of the community mods have really taken care of that, and I really enjoy using those. The downside, at least with the community 152 mod, is it makes it so you can't do it kind of bugs out the basic lessons that are included with the sim, which is unfortunate, and I've been meaning to remove the mod so I can do the lesson, so I can say that I've done the lesson, and then put it back in for general flying. I just haven't quite gotten around to it yet. Story of my life. I'm not at cruise power. I'm not even at cruise power. It really is. Welcome along, though. DXMB 1235. Hope you're enjoying the view. Absolutely. A nice beach sunset over the, what did I call it? To something sound? Pamlico Sound. Pamlico Sound in North Carolina. Up here is Stumpy Point. And up here a little further is Kittyhawk. Well, hello there. General Kenobi. Do we have hello there and General Kenobi? My story, and I'm sticking to it. What was the name of that island again? Roanoke Island. So this is Roanoke Island right here. We've officially picked up the VOR. Because of something happened with Sobo since the last patch where dialing this can only operate in 10-degree increments. I can't finally tune that, which is very disappointing. Yeah. Nice and peaceful. We would like it. So just beyond Roanoke Island, up in this area, is Kittyhawk. We'll be landing at First Flight Airfield, further west. West. It's interesting. I mean, I'm a little east of the Magenta line, so That may account for the discrepancy. Bang on the line. Yeah, I'm off to the side, so that's probably that probably explains the discrepancy between where you are and where I am. Just I'm a little off the line. The price I pay for being an inattentive pilot sometimes. There's an airstrip there, but that's not the one we want. We want somewhere over in this area. In fact, it's right about here. If I'm reading the map correctly, which is debatable. But it should be in this area, right about here. Scotland, what altitude are you at? Yes. Excuse me. So we'll switch over to Navigator. Okay. So we're going to look for runway 03. Pending METAR. Information. Winds are calm. 10 statute miles. Overcast at 700 feet. That's... altimeter setting is 3015. I do not. So runway 03 should be just fine since the winds appear to be calm. Although I definitely don't see a cloud layer at 700 feet, let alone an overcast one. Use power so as to descend a little bit more. Wait, 03 should be up in here. That is a bridge I'd be personally a little nervous about crossing. That might be Scotland right there. So once we land and get parked, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to look, windmills kind of floating. I'm going to get into the drone camera and kind of look around. I believe I got this on, it wasn't Orbix, I might have got it on Sim Market. But if I remember correctly, it was free. Kind of an important airport in the world of aviation. Kind of the whole birthplace of the whole industry, as it were. The little island of Roanoke. Runway 3 is going to be that way. Power a little bit more. Trim nose up, compensate. That might be it there. reduce power even more. Pitch up to compensate. Hill Devil Hills in Kittyhawk. Of the North Carolina as opposed to the South Carolina. Yeah, that's got to be the airport right there. This is definitely a bucket list location to visit due to its importance in the world of aviation. Turn that off for right now. See some old blinking lights. Okay, we're in the white arc, so we get the put one notch of flaps in. Someone's decided they want to fly an airliner for some silly reason. Should have been the second notch of flaps. But put that third notch of flaps in. See the monument as we fly in. Roll out. Keep back pressure on the yoke. Floating, we're floating. Back pressure, back pressure, back pressure, and we're down. Speed is under knots. Lower down. This is a bit of a turnaround, although we might just park right here. Set the parking brake. Set the RPMs. Got it off. Okay, lights are coming off. Mixture coming out. That to stop spinning. Mags are off, beacons off, master switch is off. Now we're gonna only thing I've learned is so we're gonna have a look around the Kill Devil Hills and First Flight Airport area. It's not a fancy airport by any stretch of the imagination. We have 4 of us down already. We got another on final. Need to increase the speed of my drone camera. Star Wars Squadrons looks interesting for sure. It's a game that I'd enjoy picking up. So it seems that the sim had a different idea of real weather than the real weather. Well, it looks like you may have forgotten to put your flaps down. It's all good. You still made it down in one piece. Come down to this end with the old drone. First Flight Airfield. This is obviously where we should have parked, but meh. Your key parking spots. Have the monument itself. And that could just be me with the texture settings. That's fine. Very immersive in this. Yeah. Gotcha. So you got a couple of business folks here. Looking all official and stuff. You got this poor guy that's keeping people at a distance of social distancing. You have the Wilbur and Orville Wright monument, which I believe might actually, I think that might be just supposed to be a light. Oh, I missed a landing. Very nice landing. Over here we have the museum. Or one of... all the wares that they have in stock. This might be an autogen building, but I can't say for certain. Certainly looks like it could be. Probably is. Okay. Hey, thanks for swinging by, Dougal. I do appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. It's Kilo... Ooh, the lights just came on. Kilo Foxtrot Alpha. Yep, that'd be the one. There's a couple in close proximity to here. If you're at Papa Sierra Echo, Not sure where you are. Yeah, it may also look different because this is not default scenery. This was a DLC pack that was free. Go into your data settings. So general options, data. Turn your multiplayer off and turn it back on, and that should fix it. No, I understand 100%. I've got one more short leg, and that'll probably do it. Just making sure everybody gets in. Okay. So we're going to turn master switches on, beacon lights on, mag switch to both, clear prop. Helps to add some throttle. Engine started. We're at taxi power. The nav lights on, taxi lights on. Actually, we're just going to go ahead and put the landing lights and strobe on. Avionics on. We're just going to turn that and that on. So I need to tune into 116.6. Tune this into 329er. Niner. I usually end up wandering to the left. And squawking. Oh, go ahead and put the dome light on. Beacons on. We're all okay. So parking brake off. Increase throttle to brake momentum. The bright light. Taxi lights off, strobes on, landing lights on. So since that wanted to disappear the flight plan, we'll take off and we will have a heading of 347 degrees. How about that? 347 degree heading. So mixture to full, slowly advance the throttle for takeoff. 50 knots, add a notch of flaps. Off the ground. Positive rate, gear up. What did I say, 346 or 349? 347. That's 300 feet. Flaps are going up. Trim to compensate for climb. Start a casual right turn. Okay, so 347 degrees. 3445. So we're going to trim for 500 feet of, well, because we're not going to try to get too high off the ground. Don't want to go super high. Let's see what Aerobat has to say. So 42 Victor Alpha. It is a turf airstrip. And this is near just to the east side of Chesapeake. I'm sure most of us have heard of Chesapeake Bay. So it's kind of near there. Gonna go to cruise power. Well, that doesn't want to go fine. So as long as we follow this strip of land, or even that one, we'll be able to get there. Oh, they are. Trim down. So if we turn, have a little bit of fun, if we turn off the dome light and we use the headlamp light, ta-da! That red headlamp. So as not to hurt our night vision. I think a few of them might be, but as far as I'm aware, most of this is just natural. Don't quote me on that, but I think most of this is natural. It may be artificially reinforced to some degree, but I think for the most part, it's natural. Excuse me. Pardon me. Now, one day I'll get down here and visit in person. I think it would be neat. Kind of got to see how things go here in the very near future, in the next week or two, before I can think too much further ahead. Now we may have to end up dialing back the time just a little bit because I don't believe this little airstrip is lighted. I will definitely double check that. That's not lighted. Beacon. Let's have a beacon. No beacon. It's not attended. Activated in 1993. So we're definitely going to have to dial back the clock just a skosh, so that we're able to safely land. Dial it back to about 20 to 6. Anticipate a freeze from the sim because it doesn't like it when you... There it is. Anticipated. So don't feel bad if you all pass me or if I disappear. There's a perfectly good explanation for it. And we're back. Well, the 85, that's I got it from a particular year of importance, and that's because my sim froze when I changed the time of day. I should come back at some point. Colonel Fork is a bit of an interesting origin story, involving some silverware, some lunch, and going to school. Basically, there was a time when I was in high school, I decided that I was going to bring a lunch from home, and the lunch required the use of a fork. So I took a fork from home, took it with me, used it. However, it didn't make it out of the car for some time after that. And I was cleaning out my car one day and found it, and decided that it had been there long enough that it deserved a military rank, and just officially dubbed it Colonel. So Colonel Fork became a brief thing. And then when I started getting into online gaming, I wanted to use something that was different from my racing username. And so I decided, then it popped into my head of Colonel Fork. So hence Colonel Fork came into be. Not particularly a glorious name or origin story, but that's what happened. That's where Colonel Fork came from. Speaking of Scotland, watching a video about some Scotch whiskey, and I don't think I could have remotely afford the bottle that he had on his channel. It was a single malt, and it retailed for close to $100 for a bottle, of which there are also bottles that go for thousands of dollars. Which I decided that I don't have that kind of money to spend on liquor. Is it better spray than? I mean, you can always attribute that one to your parents. You say my origin. You gotta. It's all about coming up with the backstory. It's perfectly normal to use your real name. However, I have a tendency to keep a certain amount of privacy with my real name. Until you get to know most people. Drink beer first, then your cheap whiskey always tastes better. That's fair. It's fair, but I hate beer. Beer's an acquired taste, and the only beer that I can drink is Guinness. So I've lucked out on that one. And when it comes to liquor, I have a tendency to buy higher end stuff-ish. Higher end of the affordable market, anyway. So your Jim Beams, your Jack Daniels, your Stolchanaya, Captain Morgan, Russian Standard Vodka, because I don't drink often. But when I do, I want to drink something that's good. Now, that being said, there are two, I guess you could call it two. There's two bottles of liquor I'd like to get. One's just a bottle of regular Jameson, and I have a feeling that my dad is going to get me a bottle of Jameson Black Barrel for Christmas. Cross my fingers on that one. because Black Barrel is so good. My friend Ian introduced me to it, and he got introduced to it when he was stationed with the United States Coast Guard up in Alaska. And so that was a beautiful thing. So that is a bottle of whiskey I would very much like to have to sip on in special occasion. And then have the regular Jameson for standard, just regular, I feel like having a drink moment. It's in a shop called Aldi. I know those. We have we have shops called Aldi, and that's alcohol-free vodka. Especially coming from Russia, it's alcohol-free vodka from Russia. That just seems like all kinds of wrong. I am in a 152. I think we've got an X-Cub somewhere. And this is the Aerobat, so it's extra not powerful. Planning on building a 737-800 home cockpit. Oh, nice. How far'd you get? Or have you gotten? That's fair enough. Fun fact, the place that I'm getting, or the manufacturer of the new pedals I have on the way, make quite a bit of airliner hardware, including things that I believe are specifically 737 related. They have quite a collection of items. But yes, they were very, very expensive. I'm not going to mention. It may not be the same Aldi, but I know that we have stores named Aldi. It's a grocery store. kind of their color spectrum is white, blue, and orange. Ooh, I got lights. The lights. Huh. I'll be darned. How about that? The yeah, I'm not going to mention the pedals that I have or the price of the pedals that I ordered, but they were substantial. But I'm banking on them being of high enough quality that I don't need to buy rudder pedals ever again. It's kind of what I wanted, because don't get me wrong, I love the little or the Thrustmaster T pedals, just the real basic pedals. They work, they function for the most part. They do have some challenges when it comes to the fact that some of the toe braking issue issues that I'm encountering is really frustrating as far as taking sim flying a bit seriously, because I can't use the toe brakes and have differential braking. It's doing a thing where I can only use the right toe brake if the right pedal's all the way forward, which is not helpful in most cases. Jim, I'm hoping I know where I'm going, so don't feel too bad. Scotland's probably more on the ball than I am. And when we did our trip down in Bolivia, I got everyone lost. Yeah, Fanatec makes. I have a Fanatec wheel, and it's pretty nice. I've used the racing pedals from a G25 for rudders before. It's just not the same feel, and you're limited to the one brake. And I've heard good things of the Scytec stuff, but and I'm not trying to dig at Thrustmaster by any means. It's just there's things about it that stopped working, and on the spectrum of the price spectrum, they're on the low end. I mean, the Scytec ones cost more, noticeable amount more than the T pedals. And then we're not talking about the pendulum ones. Those aren't cheap either. But just the basic T pedals. They function and they do their job, but they're not. They're definitely not super awesome, amazing quality. They're functional. They're entry level, and they do their job well, well enough. But as serious as I am into doing this stuff, I wanted a set of serious pedals, because having a good yoke is important, but you can get a lot of good performance out of a basic cheap yoke. The pedals, on the other hand, can be a bit more finicky. That looks like an abandoned airfield. Thanks for swinging by, Keen. You have a great night, and we'll catch you next time, probably on Murphy's stream. And you take care. Watch this cloud be right over where we want to land. Yeah, I got my blue box last Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Got some flashing lights right up there. Yeah, I like the yoke too. I'm not sure how I feel about the Bravos yet. And I'm not gonna have to worry about the Charlies. F-42VA. Make sure goes to full power is reduced and Deca, 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 deca. That's right. So it's gonna be right in that cloud. That's just gonna. No, it might be right here. Right here. Yes, yes, it is a grass strip. So I have the runway in sight. Do a bit of a slip to slow down. Into the white arc. Throttle to idle. Just before the cloud layer. How about that? Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be in the cloud layer, if I'm honest. It's pretty nuts, isn't it? Gain some speed. Well, not speed, but altitude. But kind of stabilize our descent. We're at full flaps. Coming in with the crosswind. The heck of a crosswind we're dealing with too. Okay, mixture comes back. Power in. Clear off the runway. Get to these hangars and park it up. Flaps are coming up. You might want to go around. Oh, you made it down. Awesome. That's a building. Very nice. Oh, little nose into the ground. But we're down. You could almost get a Mooney in here. Man. And we're crabbed into the wind. Well, the important thing is we landed. Ooh boy. Boy howdy. That's a heck of a crosswind we got going, guys. Yeah, boy. But everybody's made it down. Well, it looked ace from my screen. You certainly did. This was a haphazardly planned stream, as it was. I've got to think about getting some food in my belly. I might do some streaming of The Division in a little while, after I eat and such. But I do appreciate everybody showing up. We checked out, saw some neat islands along the Atlantic coast in North Carolina. Made our way to Kittyhawk, the birthplace of aviation. And then we made our way here to Virginia. right near Chesapeake. So, we'll see you all over on Discord, whether it be mine or Two-Tone Murphy's. So we'll do... And until next time, be good to each other. Stay safe out there. See you next time.